My mother stood at my father's funeral and whispered in my ear, "Build me a dynasty, James, and the kingdom is yours." 10 years later, I'm standing in his old office, holding a letter he hid from her. The ink is smudged where he gripped the pen too hard. It says, "She's lying, son. She's been lying since before I died." I fold the letter back into the blueprint tube where I found it. My hands are shaking. They're the hands of a man who spent a decade building, pouring foundations, framing houses, laying brick after brick for a family empire my mother promised would be mine. Calloused hands, honest hands, hands that are just now realizing they've been building a prison. The funeral was 10 years ago, February. The church was full, standing room only because my father, David Bennett, was the kind of man people respected. Bennett and Son Construction, 40 years in business. He built half the commercial properties in this county, and when he died of a heart attack at 62, the whole town showed up to say goodbye. I remember my mother's hand on my shoulder during the eulogy, cold, even through my suit jacket. She was 68 then, but she stood straight as rebar, her voice steady when she spoke. "My husband built an empire," she said, "but he always knew. Empires need heirs who are willing to sacrifice." That's when she leaned close. Her breath smelled like the mints she kept in her purse, the same mints she'd hand me as a kid when I did something right. "Build me a dynasty, James," she whispered. "Prove you're not just your father's son. Be better than him. Work harder. Sacrifice more. And when you do, the kingdom is yours." I believed her. God help me. I believed every word. The kingdom. That's what she called Bennett and Son Construction after Dad died. Not a business, a kingdom, and I was supposed to earn my place in it by working myself into the ground. So I did. For 10 years, I worked 6-day weeks, 80-hour weeks during busy season. I ran job sites from dawn until the floodlights came on. I learned every trade, plumbing, electrical, finish carpentry, because my mother said a king must know every corner of his kingdom. I'm 40 now. My work boots are worn through at the toes, the steel showing underneath like bone through skin. I've replaced the laces 3 times, different colors because I grab whatever's on sale at the hardware store. Red, then brown, then these weird neon green ones that glow under the sight lights. My crew makes jokes about them. I don't care. When you're on your feet 14 hours a day, fashion doesn't matter. The crew is good. Most of them have been with Bennett and Son since my father's time. Ramon, the foreman, has been here 23 years. He's the one who noticed my wedding ring tan line fading. "Boss," he said last month, squinting at my left hand while we reviewed blueprints. "When's the last time you wore your ring?" I looked down. The skin was the same shade all the way around now. No pale band where gold used to sit. "I take it off for work," I said. "Yeah, but you used to put it back on after." Ramon's voice was gentle. He's 56, been married 32 years. He knows what a ring means. "You okay, man?" I told him I was fine. I told him Sarah, my wife, understood that I was busy, that we were building something important. I told him the same thing I'd been telling myself for 3 years. Marriage takes sacrifice. My mother said so. She said Sarah knew what she was marrying into. She said the right woman stands beside her man while he builds the kingdom. Ramon didn't look convinced, but he didn't push. He just clapped me on the shoulder and went back to the site. That was 6 weeks ago. I haven't thought about the ring since. I've been too busy pouring the foundation for my mother's new rental property, a 4-unit building she's adding to her real estate portfolio. She owns 11 properties now. I built or renovated 8 of them. She pays me contractor rates, takes the profit, and reminds me, every brick you lay is a brick in your inheritance, James. I spent 10 years building. She spent 10 years burying the truth. If you've ever been called not ambitious enough or felt invisible while doing the work, leave a comment that just says, "I see you. Let's build something here." Sunday dinners at my mother's house are mandatory, not in the way that family dinners are usually mandatory, optional obligations you can skip with a good excuse. No, these are mandatory in the way that board meetings are mandatory. You show up or there are consequences. The house is the one my father built in 1985. 4 bedrooms, wraparound porch, oak floors that creak in all the same places they did when I was a kid. My mother redecorated after he died, took down his hunting trophies, replaced his leather furniture with cream-colored couches that no one's allowed to sit on with dirty clothes. There's a seating chart now, actual place cards like we're at a wedding. I sit at the far end of the table. Sarah sits to my mother's right. My brother William sits at the head, where my father used to sit. William is 4 years older than me, and if you ask my mother, he's 400 times more successful. He's an actor, or he was, before he moved back home 3 years ago after a string of failed auditions in Los Angeles. Now he consults for my mother's real estate business, which as far as I can tell means he shows properties to potential buyers and takes 10% commission. He lives in the guest house out back, rent-free. "James," my mother says, setting down her fork with a deliberate clink. "You're late." I check my watch. 6:03. Dinner starts at 6. "Sorry, job site ran long." "They always do." Her tone is light, but her eyes aren't. She's wearing her pearls, the ones my father gave her on their 30th anniversary. She wears them every Sunday. William managed to arrive on time, and he had 3 showings today. William smiles at me from the head of the table. It's the smile of a man who's never had to replace his bootlaces. "Time management, little brother. It's a skill." I don't take the bait. I learned a long time ago that arguing with William is like arguing with a mirror. He just reflects everything back at you, shinier. Sarah doesn't look at me when I sit down. She's focused on cutting Emma's chicken into small pieces, even though Emma is 10 and perfectly capable of using a knife. Emma, my daughter, sits between Sarah and William, her dark hair pulled back in a braid that Sarah spent an hour perfecting this morning. "Hi, Dad," Emma says. Her voice is polite, distant, the way you'd greet a stranger at church. "Hey, sweetheart, how was your week?" "Good." She doesn't elaborate. She used to tell me everything. Every playground argument, every spelling test, every dream she had about becoming a veterinarian. Now I get one-word answers. "Emma's art project won 2nd place at the school fair," Sarah offers. She's smiling, but it doesn't reach her eyes. "Show your father, sweetie." Emma pulls a piece of construction paper from her backpack. It's a drawing, crayon on white paper, of a house. A big house with a red door and a tree in the yard. There are stick figures in the yard, a woman, a girl, and a man. The man is tall, with broad shoulders and dark hair. "That's beautiful," I say, and I mean it. Emma's always been artistic. "Is that our house?" Emma glances at William, then back at the drawing. "It's Uncle Will's house." The table goes quiet, not the comfortable quiet of a family enjoying a meal, but the sharp quiet of everyone holding their breath. I look at the drawing again. The man in the yard has William's build. The house has the guest house's red door, and in the corner, barely visible, there's another house, smaller, less detailed. A stick figure man stands outside it, alone. "That's wonderful, Emma," my mother says, her voice warm in a way it never is when she talks to me. "William, she really captured your place, didn't she?" "She's got an eye for detail," William says. He reaches over and ruffles Emma's hair. She beams at him. Sarah takes the drawing and tucks it back in Emma's bag. "It's just a phase," she says to me, her voice low. "Kids draw what they see most." "What does that mean?" I ask. "It means you're always at work, James." She doesn't say it cruelly. She says it like a fact, like the sky is blue or water is wet. Emma draws what's familiar. My mother dabs her mouth with a napkin. Sarah's right. Children need presents, not just provisions. Your father understood that. He made time for family even when the business was growing. I want to argue. I want to say that I'm doing exactly what she asked, sacrificing, building, earning my place in the kingdom. But the words stick in my throat, because Emma's drawing is still sitting in her backpack, and in it I'm alone, outside, looking in. My daughter called me Dad, the way you'd call a stranger Sir. I find the first letter on a Tuesday, 3 weeks after that Sunday dinner. My mother asked me to renovate my father's old office, the one in the basement of her house, where he used to do the books for Bennett and Son. Turn it into a proper guest room, she said. Something tasteful. William's been asking if he could use it as a home office, but I told him you'd handle it first. Of course she did. The office hasn't been touched since he died. His desk is still there, a massive oak thing he built himself in 1978. His drafting table is in the corner, covered in a white sheet. Boxes of old blueprints are stacked against the walls, labeled in his block print handwriting, 1985, 1990, 1991, 1995, current projects. I start with the blueprints. Most of them are buildings I recognize, the church annex, the old fire station, the strip mall on Route 9. Some are buildings that were never constructed, dream projects he sketched out late at night, buildings that were too ambitious or too expensive or just too much for this small town. I'm rolling up a set of prints from 1992 when I notice one of the cardboard tubes is heavier than it should be. I tilt it and something shifts inside. Not paper, something solid. I twist off the metal cap. Inside, wedged against the blueprints, is a yellow legal pad folded into thirds. The paper is old, the edges soft from being handled. I unfold it carefully. The handwriting is my father's. Architect's block print, all capitals, the letters precise even though the ink is smudged in places. Smudged the way ink gets when you're gripping the pen too hard, when your hand is shaking. The date at the top says September 14th, 1992, 3 months before he died. James. If you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I didn't tell you this face to face. I tried. God knows I tried. But your mother is watching everything I do now, and I can't risk her destroying this before you see it. She has a plan. I don't have proof yet, just a sick feeling in my gut, and 38 years of marriage telling me I'm right. She's been talking about legacy, about heirs, about which of my sons is fit to carry the Bennett name forward. She doesn't think you are. I need you to watch the golden child. William, watch him closely, and watch your wife. I know how that sounds. I know you think I'm paranoid. Your mother says I am. She says I'm seeing threats that aren't there, that I'm bitter because the business is changing, that I'm too old to understand how things work now. Maybe she's right. Maybe I'm just a bitter old man who can't let go. But James, I know her. I've known her longer than you've been alive. And when she talks about legacy, she doesn't mean pride. She means control. The golden child is fool's gold. Watch him, son. Watch them all. I love you. I'm proud of you. Don't let her convince you otherwise. Dad. I read it 3 times. Then I fold it back up, slide it into my jacket pocket, and sit down on the concrete floor of the basement office. My father died of a heart attack on December 27th, 1992, clutching his chest in this very room, surrounded by blueprints and unfinished projects. My mother found him. She called 911. She held his hand while we waited for the ambulance. She cried at the funeral, real tears, not the dry-eyed stoicism some widows perform. And 3 months before that, he was hiding letters in blueprint tubes warning me about her. The basement is cold. I can feel it through my jeans, seeping up from the concrete. There's a smell down here, old paper and ink and something else. My father's cologne, Old Spice. He wore it every day of his life. The smell is faint, but it's here, like he is. Like he's watching me read his words and nodding, saying, finally, you're listening. I pull out my phone. I almost call Sarah. Then I remember Emma's drawing, the one where I'm outside the house, alone, and I don't. Instead, I sit in the cold basement and stare at the boxes of blueprints, and I think about the word my father used. Watch. He wrote, "Watch him, son, watch them all." I start watching. Not in an obvious way. I don't hire a private investigator or confront anyone or make a scene. I just pay attention to the things I've been too tired, too busy, too buried in work to notice. Like the way Sarah's phone is always face down on the counter. Like the way William texts her during Sunday dinners, and she smiles at the screen before turning it over. Like the way Emma flinches when I hug her, just slightly, the way you flinch when someone unfamiliar touches you. I pull out old photo albums, the kind we don't look at anymore because everything's digital now, stored in the cloud, inaccessible unless you go searching. I go searching. There's a photo from Emma's 4th birthday. She's wearing a purple dress, her face covered in chocolate cake. Sarah's holding her, laughing. William's in the background, leaning against the doorframe, watching them with a look I didn't recognize at the time, but recognize now. Possession. I flip through more photos. Emma at 6, missing her front teeth. Emma at 7, holding a trophy from her soccer league. Emma at 8, standing between Sarah and William at my mother's Christmas party. I study Emma's face in every photo, the shape of her eyes, the cleft in her chin, the way her hair curls at the ends, dark and thick. Then I pull out photos of myself at that age. Light brown hair, round face, no cleft chin. I pull out photos of William, dark hair, narrow face, cleft chin. I set the photos side by side on the kitchen table. Emma at 8, William at 8. The resemblance isn't subtle. It's a spotlight. I sit there for an hour, staring at the photos, trying to find an explanation that isn't the obvious one. Maybe she takes after Sarah's side of the family. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe I'm paranoid, just like my mother said my father was. But my father wasn't paranoid. He was right. I pulled out the photos. My daughter looked nothing like me. She looked exactly like my brother. I hire a private investigator on a Thursday. His name is Frank Reeves, and he works out of a strip mall office between a nail salon and a tax preparer. He's 63, retired police detective, and he doesn't ask questions when I hand him the photos. "I need to know if my wife is having an affair," I say. The words taste like copper in my mouth. Frank looks at the photos, Emma next to William, the resemblance undeniable, and nods slowly. "How long do you think it's been going on?" 10 years, maybe longer." He doesn't flinch. "And you want proof?" "I want the truth." He takes the job. $2,000 up front, plus expenses. He tells me it'll take 2 weeks, maybe 3. He tells me to act normal. Don't change my routine. Don't let them know I'm suspicious. I tell him about my father's letter, about the warning to watch the golden child, about my mother's promise of a kingdom if I just kept building, kept sacrificing, kept proving myself worthy. Frank leans back in his chair. It squeaks. "Your mother knew?" "I don't know, maybe. My father seemed to think she was involved." "And she's been encouraging you to work yourself to death for 10 years while your wife..." He trails off, but we both know how the sentence ends. "I need to be sure," I say. "I need evidence." Frank nods. "You'll have it." 2 days later, I'm at Emma's school event. It's a Saturday art fair in the church basement, the same church where my father's funeral was held, where my mother still sits in the 3rd pew every Sunday, where Sarah volunteers on the hospitality committee. Emma's painting is displayed on a folding table near the back. It's a watercolor of a garden, roses and sunflowers and a little bird perched on a fence. It's beautiful. She got that from Sarah, the artistic eye. I contributed the stubborn work ethic, the belief that if you just keep trying, keep building, keep pushing, eventually you'll get it right. Sarah's across the room talking to the pastor's wife. She's wearing a yellow dress, her hair pulled back in a way that makes her look younger than 38. She's laughing at something, her hand on the other woman's arm, and for a moment I remember why I fell in love with her. She was kind, present. She made me feel like I was enough, just as I was. When did that change? I'm staring at Emma's painting when I notice the storage closet door is ajar. It's the same closet where they keep the old church records, the boxes of bulletins and meeting minutes dating back to the 1970s. My father helped build this basement in 1988. He donated the labor, said it was his tithe to God. I don't know what makes me walk over. Curiosity, maybe. Or the memory of finding his first letter hidden in a blueprint tube. Maybe some part of me knows there's more to find. The closet smells like old paper and pine sol. There are metal shelves stacked with cardboard boxes, each one labeled with a date range. I scan them without really looking. 1985, 1990, 1991, and 1995. And then I see it. A box labeled D. Bennett, Office Files, 1992. My father's box, donated after his death, probably by my mother during one of her purges. I pull it down. It's heavier than I expected. Inside are manila folders, each one labeled in my father's handwriting. Invoices, contracts, personal. I flip through them quickly, aware that Sarah could walk over any moment, that Emma might come looking for me. The personal folder is thin. Inside are 3 things: a copy of his will, a life insurance policy, and another yellow legal pad page folded into quarters. My hands are shaking when I unfold it. The date says October 28th, 1992, 2 months before he died, 2 weeks before my wedding. James. I found the proof. Your mother told me her plan yesterday. We were in the kitchen. She thought I was too tired to hear, too worn down by the medication to understand. But I heard every word. She said, William's genes are superior. James will work. William will breed. Everyone wins. I wanted to vomit. I wanted to grab her by the shoulders and shake her until she understood what she was saying. But I didn't. I played dumb. Let her think the heart medication had turned my brain to mush. She's orchestrating your marriage, James. She handpicked Sarah, groomed her through the church, got her on committees, made sure she was around William. Your wedding is in 2 weeks and I can't stop it. If I tell you now, you'll think I'm crazy. Your mother has spent months convincing everyone I'm paranoid, that my episodes are making me see conspiracies. But this isn't paranoia. This is a plan. She wants you married to Sarah. She wants you focused on work, on proving yourself, on building her empire. And while you're building, she wants William breeding the perfect Bennett heir. I'm hiding this letter because I can't prove it yet. Can't stop the wedding without making you choose between me and her, and she'll win that fight. She always does. Watch them, James. Watch your wife and your brother. And when you find the truth, and you will, because she's not as careful as she thinks, remember, she doesn't define your worth. I do. And you are exactly the son I wanted. Dad. I read it twice. Then I fold it carefully and slip it into my jacket pocket next to the first letter. 2 weeks before my wedding, my father knew my mother was planning to use my wife to breed children with my brother. 2 weeks before my wedding, and he couldn't stop it. I don't go back to the art fair. I walk out of the church, get in my truck, and drive to Frank Reeves's office. He's not there. It's Saturday. So I sit in the parking lot and call him. I need you to look into something else, I say when he answers. What kind of something? Fertility treatments. I think my wife was seeing a specialist. I need to know when and who paid for it. There's a pause. Then, you think someone else paid for your wife's fertility treatments? I think my mother did. Another pause. Longer this time. That's a hell of a theory. Can you check? Yeah, give me a few days. Frank calls me back on Tuesday. I'm on a job site framing a garage for a client in the North End. The crew is on lunch break. I'm sitting in my truck eating a sandwich I packed this morning when my phone rings. I found something, Frank says, no preamble. Your wife visited a fertility clinic in 2012, 3 appointments. The bills were paid by Eleanor Bennett. My sandwich drops onto the passenger seat. What? Eleanor Bennett, your mother. She paid cash. Left a paper trail at the clinic because they required a billing address. The appointments were in March, April, and May of 2012, all scheduled around your wife's ovulation cycle. How do you know about the ovulation cycle? Because the clinic notes mention it. They provided timing guidance for conception, standard procedure for fertility planning. I close my eyes. The truck cab suddenly feels too small, the air too thick. Do you have copies of the records? I'm emailing them now. James, there's more. More? Hotel receipts. I pulled your brother's credit card records. Don't ask how. In March, April, and May of 2012, he stayed at the Riverside Inn 6 times, always mid-month, always for 2-hour blocks. Your wife's cell phone pinged off the same tower during those times. The sandwich is bleeding mayo onto my seat. I stare at it, this small domestic disaster, and think, that's what my life is now, leaking, staining, impossible to clean. Send me everything, I say. My mother didn't just hide the affair, she scheduled it. The documents arrived that night. I wait until Sarah and Emma are asleep. Then I open my laptop in the garage and go through every page. There's the clinic paperwork, 3 appointments, each one noted with detailed instructions. Patient advised to time intercourse during LH surge window, approximately 36 hours post-appointment. There are lab results, hormone levels, ovulation predictions. And there at the bottom of each invoice, paid in full, E. Bennett. Then the hotel receipts. 6 of them printed from Williams' credit card statement, Riverside Inn, room 237, check-in times 2:00 p.m., checkout times 4:00 p.m., and finally a spreadsheet, something Frank must have created himself, cross-referencing the dates. Clinic appointment, March the 12th, 2012. Ovulation window, March 13th, 15. Hotel check-in, March the 14th, 2:00 p.m. Sarah's phone location, Riverside Inn Tower, March 14th, 2:10 p.m., 3:47 p.m. It's a pattern, not once or twice, but 6 times over 3 months. Timed with clinical precision, documented like a project schedule. My mother managed my wife's fertility like a project manager. I print everything. I put it in a folder. I label it evidence. Like I'm building a case, because I am. I'm building the case against my own family. I confront Sarah on Wednesday night. I don't plan it. It just happens. She's loading the dishwasher after dinner, and Emma's upstairs doing homework, and Lucas, our 7-year-old son, is watching TV in the living room, and suddenly I can't hold it in anymore. Were you planning to tell me? I say. Sarah freezes, a plate in her hand. Tell you what? About William. She sets the plate down carefully. Too carefully. James, I don't know what you're talking about. March 2012, the Riverside Inn, room 237. I watch her face, watch the color drain out of it. Do I need to keep going? She grips the edge of the counter. Who told you that? Does it matter? Yes, it matters, because whoever told you is lying. I have the hotel receipts, Sarah. I have William's credit card statements. I have your phone records. Her eyes go wide. You hired someone to investigate me? I hired someone to investigate my wife and my brother, who've apparently been screwing each other for a decade while I worked 80-hour weeks to support this family. James, her voice cracks. She's crying now, tears running down her face, and part of me wants to comfort her. That's the worst part. 10 years of marriage, and my instinct is still to fix her pain. James, please, it's not what you think. Then what is it? It was a mistake. A stupid, terrible mistake. It only happened a few times, 6 times in 3 months, scheduled around your ovulation cycle, paid for by my mother. She goes white. Actually white, like someone drained the blood from her face. What? I pull out my phone, open the email from Frank, and show her the clinic invoices. Eleanor Bennett paid for your fertility treatments. She paid for the hotel rooms, indirectly. She gave William the money. He used his card to keep it off her records. She managed this like a construction project, Sarah. Timelines, resources, outcomes. Sarah's knees buckle. She sits down hard on the kitchen floor, her back against the cabinets. Oh my God. Did you know? No, I swear to God, James, I didn't know she was involved. I thought... She stops, covers her face with her hands. You thought what? I thought it was just me and William. I thought it was just... We were weak, stupid, but it was just us. Just you and my brother having an affair. For how long, Sarah? She looks up at me, mascara running, and for a moment I see the woman I married. 25 years old, hopeful, kind. And then I see the woman she became, the one who could lie to my face for a decade. 10 years, she whispers. The kitchen is silent except for the TV in the living room. Lucas is watching some cartoon, the volume too loud, bright colors flashing through the doorway. Our son, 7 years old, brown hair like mine, round face like mine. Is Lucas mine? I ask. Yes, God, James, yes, Lucas is yours. We weren't seeing each other when I got pregnant with him. It was after Emma. William ended it for a while. He felt guilty, but not guilty enough. No. She's sobbing now, her whole body shaking. Not guilty enough. I should feel something, a rage maybe, betrayal, but all I feel is tired, bone deep, soul tired. The kind of tired that comes from carrying a weight you didn't know was there until someone tells you to set it down. What about Emma? I say. Sarah doesn't answer. Sarah, is Emma mine? She looks at me, and in her eyes I see the truth she doesn't want to say. I don't know. I don't sleep that night. I lie in bed next to Sarah. She's crying softly, reaching for me, whispering apologies I don't want to hear. And I stare at the ceiling and think about my father. He knew. Before I got married, he knew this was going to happen. And he couldn't stop it because my mother had already poisoned the well, convinced everyone he was paranoid, unstable, seeing threats that weren't there. At $3 a.m., I get up and drive to my mother's house. She answers the door in her bathrobe, her hair in curlers, her face tight with irritation. James, it's 3 a.m. We need to talk. About what? About Sarah and William and the fertility clinic you paid for. Her face doesn't change, not even a flicker. I have no idea what you're talking about. I have the receipts, Mom. Your name on the invoices. March through May 2012. 3 appointments, all scheduled around Sarah's ovulation. She steps back, opens the door wider. Come inside. You're going to wake the neighbors. I follow her into the living room. She doesn't sit. She stands in the center of the room, arms crossed, and looks at me with the same expression she used to wear when I was a kid, and I'd done something wrong, but she hadn't decided on the punishment yet. You hired an investigator, she says. It's not a question. I found Dad's letters. Now her expression changes, just slightly, a tightening around her eyes. What letters? The ones he hid. The ones where he told me you were planning this. That you wanted William's genes, not mine. That you were going to use my marriage to breed better grandchildren. She's quiet for a long moment. Then she walks to the couch and sits down, smoothing her bathrobe over her knees. Your father was a paranoid man, James, especially toward the end. The heart medication made him unstable. He wasn't paranoid. He was right. Was he? She looks at me, her eyes cold. Or are you just like him, seeing conspiracies where there are none, blaming others for your failures? My failures? You lack ambition, James. You always have. Your father saw it. I saw it. You're a good worker, a reliable contractor, but you don't have the vision to lead. William does. He has drive, charisma, the ability to see beyond the next job site. My hands are shaking. I ball them into fists. So, you decided to breed him with my wife. I didn't decide anything. Sarah and William made their own choices. I simply facilitated. You paid for fertility treatments. I paid for medical care. Sarah was struggling to conceive. The clinic helped. With William's child. With a Bennett child. She stands up, walks to the mantel, picks up a framed photo of Emma, my daughter, or William's daughter, or some genetic Frankenstein my mother created in a petri dish. Emma is brilliant, James. She's gifted. She has William's intellect, Sarah's creativity. She's exactly what this family needs for the next generation. She's my daughter. Is she? My mother sets the photo down carefully. Have you asked her? The room tilts. What? William told her the truth when she was 6. He thought she deserved to know. She's known for 4 years, James, and she hasn't said a word to you. I can't breathe. The air in the room is gone, sucked out by the weight of what she just said. Emma knows, has known since she was 6. And every hug, every goodnight dad, every school event I attended, all of it was a performance. A lie she learned to tell because my mother taught her that I wasn't good enough to deserve the truth. You told a 6-year-old that her father isn't her father, I say. My voice sounds distant, like it's coming from underwater. William told her. I simply didn't stop him. She had a right to know her heritage. Her heritage? She's a child. She's a Bennett. My mother's voice is sharp now, the way it gets when she's losing patience. And you're acting exactly like your father, emotional, irrational, unable to see the bigger picture. This is why you'll never lead this family, James. You don't trust. You don't understand that sometimes sacrifice means more than just working hard. It means accepting your role. My role as what? The mule? That's what Dad's letter said you called me. James is the mule. William is the thoroughbred. She doesn't deny it. I never used those exact words. But you thought them. I thought, she says slowly, that every family needs someone to do the work and someone to be the face of the legacy. You're the work, James. Be proud of that. I stare at her, this woman who raised me, who held me when I was scared as a child, who taught me to tie my shoes, to say my prayers, to believe that hard work and loyalty were the highest virtues. This woman is a stranger. I'm surrounded by people who are supposed to love me, I say, and I've never been more alone. My mother sighs, picks up the photo of Emma again. You're not alone, James. You have your work. You have the kingdom you built. Isn't that enough? Here's where I need your help. If you were James in this moment, would you A, walk away to protect your sanity, or B, stay and fight to expose the truth? Drop A or B in the comments. Your answer might surprise you. I leave my mother's house at 4 a.m. I don't go home. I drive to the bank when it opens at 9 and I ask about my father's safety deposit box. The manager, a woman named Teresa who went to high school with my father, looks it up in the system. There's a box registered to David Bennett. Yes, it's been inactive since his death. Did he leave you the key? I think he hid it. Can I access it anyway? I'm the executor of his estate. She checks the paperwork. You're listed as a co-holder. You don't need the key. We can drill it and replace the lock if necessary, but it'll cost you. I don't care what it costs. An hour later, I'm sitting in a small private room, staring at a metal box the size of a briefcase. Teresa drilled the lock. She left me alone. Inside the box are 3 things. An amended copy of my father's will, dated December 15th, 1992, 1 week before he died. It leaves the business to me, not split between William and me. Just me. There's a note paper-clipped to it. Eleanor refused to file this. She said I was incompetent. I'm leaving this here so you know what I wanted. 3 audio cassettes, each one labeled with a date. September 1992, November 1992, December 1992. A final letter on yellow legal pad paper. My hands are shaking when I unfold the letter. James, this is the last thing I'll write to you. I can feel it in my chest, the tightness, the pain. I don't have much time left. If you're reading this, it means you found the truth. I'm sorry you had to find it this way. I tried to stop your wedding. I tried to talk to you, but Eleanor got to you first, and by the time I had proof, you were already married. I was already the paranoid old man who saw threats everywhere. The cassettes have recordings of your mother talking about the plan. I taped our conversations in secret. It's not legal, probably won't hold up in court, but you'll hear her in her own words, what she wanted, what she did, who she is. But James, and listen to me carefully, the kingdom was never hers to give. You don't need her approval. You don't need her permission. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. The kingdom is what you build with your own hands, the relationships you nurture, the values you uphold, the way you treat people when no one's watching. I'm leaving you the evidence, not so you can destroy them, though God knows they've earned it, but so you can free yourself. You don't need her approval. You never did. I'm proud of you, James. I always was. From the moment you were born, messy and screaming and perfect, I knew this is my son. This is the one who will carry the things that matter. Not the business, not the money, but the work, the integrity, the goodness. That's the only dynasty that matters. Go build yours. I love you, son. Dad. I sit in the private room and cry. Actually, cry, tears dripping onto the letter, smudging my father's ink the way his own tears must have smudged it when he wrote it. Teresa knocks softly after 20 minutes. You okay in there, James? Yeah, I say. My voice is wrecked. I'm okay. I take the cassettes, the will, and the letter. I leave the box open on the table. Empty now, like my father's office, like my marriage, like the 10 years I spent building a kingdom that was never mine to inherit. The kingdom was never hers to give. You built it with your hands. That's the only dynasty that matters. I call Frank Reeves from the bank parking lot. I need a DNA test, I say. Paternity. How fast can you get it done? 72 hours if you pay extra. You sure you want to know? I need to know. The test requires samples from me and Emma. I take mine at a clinic that afternoon, swab the inside of my cheek, spit into a tube, sign a form saying I consent to genetic analysis. Getting Emma's sample is harder. I wait until Friday night when Sarah's out at a church committee meeting. Emma's in her room, drawing another picture, this one of flowers, bright red poppies in a field. Hey, sweetheart, I say from the doorway. Can I talk to you for a minute? She looks up. Her face is guarded. What about? About some grown-up stuff, about me and you. She sets down her crayon. Grandma said you might get upset. She said you'd ask questions. Did she tell you what to say? Emma looks at her drawing. She said to tell you the truth, that I love you, but I know who my real dad is. The words are a knife, clean, surgical, straight to the heart. Who's your real dad, Emma? Uncle Will. She says it simply, like she's telling me the sky is blue. He told me when I was 6. He said, you're nice, but you're not my biological father. Grandma said it's okay to love you anyway, but I should know the truth. I kneel down next to her bed. Emma, I need to do a test to make sure. Is that okay? A test for what? To see if Uncle Will is right. She thinks about it, then she nods. Okay, but Grandma won't like it. I know. I swab her cheek. She doesn't ask questions, just opens her mouth and lets me take the sample like she's been to the dentist and this is just another routine procedure. When I'm done, she goes back to her drawing. Dad? She says, yeah, sweetheart. If the test says Uncle Will is my dad, are you going to be mad? I swallow hard. No, baby, I'm not going to be mad at you. None of this is your fault. Grandma said you'd leave if you found out. I'm not leaving you, Emma, no matter what the test says. She looks at me with eyes that are too old for 10. Uncle Will said the same thing. So did Grandma, but everybody leaves eventually. The results come back on Monday. Frank Reeves calls me at 2:00 p.m. I'm on a job site, but I walk away from the crew, stand in the parking lot next to my truck, and answer the phone. I'm sorry, James, Frank says. That's all he needs to say. Send me the report. It's already in your email. I open it on my phone. The document is clinical, cold, full of scientific terminology I don't understand. But the conclusion is clear. Probability of paternity. 0%. I read it 3 times. Then I sit down on the curb, phone still in my hand, and stare at the construction site across the parking lot. We're building a medical office. 4 stories, brick and glass, modern and efficient. I poured the foundation last month. 40 yards of concrete, reinforced with rebar, cured for 2 weeks before we started framing. Solid, permanent, built to last. Emma isn't mine. She was never mine. But I loved her anyway. I taught her to ride a bike, stayed up through colic nights, memorized her first words, her first steps, drove her to soccer practice, helped with homework, held her when she had nightmares, and the paper says 0%. She was never mine to love, but I loved her anyway. I go home that night and tell Sarah I want a divorce. She's in the kitchen making dinner, and Lucas is at the table doing his math homework. I wait until Lucas goes upstairs, and then I tell her, I'm filing tomorrow. She drops the wooden spoon she's holding. It clatters against the stove. James! I got the DNA results. Emma's not mine. You knew that. I needed to know for sure. Please, we can fix this. I'll end it with William. I swear to God it's over. We can go to counseling. It's been over for 10 years, Sarah. I just didn't know it. She sinks into a chair. What about Lucas? Lucas is mine. The test confirmed it. I'm fighting for custody. You can't take him from me. You took Emma from me. For 10 years, you let me believe she was mine. You let me love her knowing she wasn't. So yeah, Sarah, I can take Lucas, and I will. That night, I go to my workshop in the garage. It's my space, the one place in the house that's just mine. Tools on pegboards, sawdust on the floor, the smell of wood and machine oil. I'm building a birdhouse for Lucas. Something simple. A project we started together last weekend. I'm sanding the roof when Lucas walks in. He's wearing his pajamas, his hair still wet from his bath. He doesn't say anything, just walks over and picks up the sandpaper. We work in silence for 20 minutes. I sand, he sands. The wood gets smooth under our hands. Dad? He says finally. Yeah, bud. Are you and Mom getting a divorce? Yeah. Is it because of Uncle Will? I stop sanding. You know about that. Emma told me. She said Mom loves Uncle Will more than you. Is that true? I set down the sandpaper. I don't know, Lucas. Maybe. But that's not your fault or Emma's fault. And it doesn't change how much I love you. He's quiet for a moment. Then he reaches over and hugs me. 7 years old, small arms around my neck, and I realize this is what my father meant. The kingdom isn't the business, isn't the money, isn't the buildings I've built or the hours I've worked. It's this, a kid who shows up in your workshop when you're breaking down, who picks up sandpaper and works next to you in silence, who hugs you when words don't work. We built a birdhouse in silence. I cried the entire time. He held the nails steady. If you have a person who stayed when your blood family left, someone who handed you a hammer when you needed it, drop their name below. Let's honor the real dynasties. I hire a forensic accountant on Tuesday. Her name is Diana Chen. Wait, no. Her name is Diana Morrison. 47, works exclusively on fraud cases, comes recommended by Frank Reeves. What am I looking for? She asks when I hand her the Bennett & Son financial records. Embezzlement. My mother's been funneling money to my brother. I built the projects. He got paid. Diana spreads the documents across her conference table. How long? 10 years, maybe longer. She picks up a highlighter. I'll need access to all company accounts, bank statements, invoices, contracts, your mother's personal accounts if possible. I can get them. I'm still co-owner of the company. My name's on everything. Good. Give me a week. Diana calls me 5 days later. You need to see this in person. Her office is in the same building as Frank's, 3 floors up. When I walk in, her conference table is covered in spreadsheets, each one marked with different colored tabs. Yellow for discrepancies, red for confirmed fraud. There's a lot of red. Your mother is good. Diana says, handing me a summary sheet. She layered it. Invoices for work William supposedly did, consulting fees, property management commissions. On paper, everything looks legitimate. But the work was never done. These properties? She taps a list of addresses. You renovated them. I pulled the permits. Your name is on every single one as the contractor of record. But the invoices show payments to W.U. Bennett Consulting for the same projects. She paid him for work you did. I scan the list. 12 properties. Renovations ranging from $50,000 to $300,000. And next to each one, a consulting fee paid to William. 10% of the total project cost. How much? I ask. $2.3 million over 10 years. The number doesn't feel real. It's too big, abstract, like reading about a natural disaster in another country. That's embezzlement, Diana says. Criminal fraud. Your mother signed the checks. William cashed them. If you want to press charges, you have grounds. What about my mother? Can she claim she didn't know? Not a chance. She's the CFO. Every payment required her signature. She knew exactly what she was doing. I sit down. The chair is too soft. I sink into it, the spreadsheet swimming in front of me. She paid William $2 million while I worked 80-hour weeks. More than that, she also paid Sarah $50,000 a year as a property manager. But your mother manages her own properties. I can't find a single documented task Sarah performed. It's hush money. Every project I built, she paid William double. I was the labor. He was the profit. I spend the next week planning, not revenge, though it feels like revenge, justice. I spend the week planning justice. I call Frank, Diana, and a lawyer named Tom Whitfield, who specializes in family law and fraud cases. We meet in Tom's office on a Thursday night, and I lay out my plan. I want to expose them publicly, I say. Not in court, not in private depositions. I want everyone to know what they did. Tom leans back in his chair. That's risky. You lose the element of surprise. They'll lawyer up immediately. I don't care. My mother's weapon was control, information, making everyone think my father was paranoid, that I was unmotivated, that everything was fine behind closed doors. I want to take that weapon away. How? Diana asks. Family reunion, church basement, 50 people. I'll present the evidence like a business proposal. I pull out my father's letters, the DNA test, the financial records. I'll project it on a screen, let them see what my mother built. Frank whistles low. That's a hell of a power move. Can you be there? I ask. All of you, as witnesses? They look at each other. Then Tom nods. Yeah, we'll be there. The Bennett family reunion happens twice a year, Memorial Day and Thanksgiving. This year, Memorial Day falls on a Saturday. My mother sends the invitation 3 weeks in advance. Family reunion, May 25th, 1:08 p.m., First Baptist Church Fellowship Hall. Potluck, mandatory attendance. Mandatory, that's very her. I RSVP, yes. So does William, so does Sarah, even though she knows what's coming. I told her 2 days ago, told her she could either show up or not, but I was doing this regardless. You're going to destroy our family, she said. No, I'm going to show them what you already destroyed. The fellowship hall is the same room where we had my father's wake. Long tables set up in rows, a small stage at one end, a projector screen that the church uses for Sunday school presentations. I arrive early with Frank, Diana, and Tom. We set up the projector, load the files onto a laptop, test the audio system. I'm going to play my father's cassettes, the ones where Eleanor describes the plan in her own words. People start arriving at 12:45. Aunts, uncles, cousins I haven't seen in years. They bring casseroles and pasta salads and desserts in Tupperware containers. They hug me, tell me I look tired, ask about work. My mother arrives at 12:55, dressed in a cream suit, her pearls around her neck. William's with her, Sarah's with him. Emma's holding Sarah's hand. Lucas is with me. My mother surveys the room, sees the projector, and her eyes narrow. James, what is this? Family reunion, I say, just like you asked. I mean the equipment. Presentation. I thought it was time everyone knew what we've been building. She looks at William. Some silent communication passes between them. Then she forces a smile. Well, how ambitious of you. At 1 I stand on the stage and tap the microphone. The room goes quiet. 53 people, all Bennett family, or close enough. Church friends, business associates, Pastor Mitchell, who's known our family for 40 years. Thank you all for coming, I say. My voice echoes in the speakers. I know this is usually a casual event, but I have something important to share. It's about our family, about legacy, about the kingdom my mother always talked about. My mother stands up from her table. James, this isn't appropriate. Sit down, Mom. The room goes silent. No one tells Eleanor Bennett to sit down, but Tom Whitfield, sitting in the back, arms crossed, says quietly, Ma'am, I think you should hear this. She sits, slowly. I click to the first slide. It's a photo of my father from 1992 standing in front of Bennett & Son Construction's first office. Young, healthy, smiling. My father built this company with his hands, I say. 40 years of work. When he died, he left it to his sons, plural. Me and William, equal partners. That's what he wanted. Click. Next slide, a photo of my father's amended will. The one from the safety deposit box. Except that's not what happened. This is my father's real will. Dated December 15th, 1992, 1 week before he died. It leaves the company to me, just me. My mother refused to file it. She told the lawyers my father was incompetent due to heart medication. She had him declared mentally unfit. Murmurs ripple through the room. My mother's face is stone. Click. Next slide. The first letter, my father's handwriting blown up so everyone can see. This is a letter my father wrote to me 3 months before he died. He hid it in his office. He wrote, "Watch the golden child. Watch your wife." He knew what was coming. He tried to warn me. I read the letter aloud, every word. When I get to the part about William being fool's gold, I look at my brother. He's pale, sweating. Click. Next slide. The fertility clinic invoices. In 2012, my mother paid for my wife's fertility treatments. She scheduled them during Sarah's ovulation windows. She coordinated them with hotel stays at the Riverside Inn, where Sarah met with William 6 times over 3 months. The room erupts, people talking over each other. My cousin Janet, who's always loved Sarah, stands up. "You're lying." "I'm not." Click. Hotel receipts. William's credit card, 6 2-hour stays, room 237. Click. Sarah's phone records, tower locations highlighted. Sarah's phone, same location, same times. Sarah's crying now. She's looking at Emma, who's staring at the screen with wide eyes. Click. The DNA test results. This is a paternity test conducted last month. Emma Bennett is not my biological daughter. Probability of paternity 0%. Someone gasps. I think it's my Aunt Linda. Emma's face crumples. She buries her head in Sarah's shoulder. My daughter has known since she was 6. I continue. My voice is steady, clinical. This is the hardest part, but I can't falter now. William told her. My mother encouraged it. They let me raise a child they knew wasn't mine, while I worked 80-hour weeks to build a kingdom my mother promised me. My mother stands again. This is slander. James, you're having a breakdown. Sit down, Eleanor. This voice isn't mine. It's Tom Whitfield's. He's standing now, holding a folder. Mrs. Bennett, I'm an attorney, fraud and embezzlement specialist. You should sit down because the next part is about you. She sits. For the first time in my life, I see fear in her eyes. Click. Diana's financial summary. Over 10 years, I say, my mother paid William $2.3 million in consulting fees for work he never did. I built 12 properties. She paid him 10% of each project cost as consulting. The invoices are fake. The work is real. I did it. He got paid. Click. Spreadsheet after spreadsheet. Each one shows a property I renovated, an invoice to William, a check signed by Eleanor Bennett. She also paid Sarah $50,000 a year as a property manager for properties my mother manages herself. No documented work, no oversight, just money transferred every month. I pause, let it sink in. Then I click to the final evidence. And finally, this. The audio crackles through the speakers, static, then voices. My father's voice, younger but unmistakable. Eleanor, what you're suggesting is wrong. My mother's voice. Wrong? I'm suggesting we breed the best possible heir, David. James will work. William will provide superior genetics. Everyone wins. Jesus Christ, Eleanor. Don't be dramatic. James lacks ambition. You know it. I know it. He's the mule, David. William is the thoroughbred. You breed for results, not effort. I stop the tape. The room is silent. Utterly silent. My mother is standing, her face white, her hands shaking. That recording is illegal. It's my father's voice, I say. His insurance policy, and everyone here just heard you call me a mule. Pastor Mitchell stands. He's 74, been at this church for 50 years. His voice is quiet but firm. Eleanor, is this true? My mother looks around the room, 53 people staring at her, judging her, and for the first time in my life, she has no script, no control. I did what was best for this family, she says. James was never going to lead Bennett and Son. He's a good worker, but he lacks vision. William is a criminal, Tom Whitfield interrupts. He walks to the stage, hands me a document. James, this is a warrant. The district attorney reviewed the evidence. William Bennett is being charged with embezzlement and fraud. Eleanor Bennett is being charged as an accessory. The door at the back of the fellowship hall opens. 2 police officers walk in. My mother's face crumbles. Actually crumbles. The mask she's worn for 78 years cracks down the middle, and underneath is something raw and desperate. James, she says, don't do this. I'm your mother. You engineered a decade-long breeding program using my wife and brother. You stole $2 million from the company my father built. You let me believe I was a father when you knew I wasn't. I step down from the stage, walk toward her, stop 3 feet away. You don't get to use that word anymore. She reaches for me. Her hand trembles in the air between us. I step back. Officer, Tom says quietly, she's all yours. The police don't arrest Eleanor in the fellowship hall. They take her aside, speak with her quietly, and escort her out to a waiting car. She goes without handcuffs, professional courtesy maybe, or recognition that she's 78 and not a flight risk. William fights. This is bullshit, he shouts as the officers read him his rights. James is bitter, jealous. He's always been jealous. Sir, you need to calm down. I'm not calming down. He's lying. That DNA test is fake. The financial records are fake. He's trying to frame me. They cuff him. He's still shouting when they walk him out. Sarah doesn't move. She sits at the table, Emma pressed against her side, and stares at nothing. I walk over, kneel down next to Emma. Hey, sweetheart. She looks at me. Her face is red, streaked with tears. I didn't know Grandma was bad. I know. Are you going to stop being my dad? The question breaks something in me, some last piece of armor I've been wearing for 10 years. No, baby, I'm always going to be your dad. Biology doesn't change that, you hear me? She nods. I love you, Emma. That's never going to change. But right now, I need to take care of Lucas, and you need to stay with your mom while we figure things out, okay? Okay. I kiss her forehead. Then I stand and look at Sarah. The divorce papers are being filed Monday, I say. I'm requesting full custody of Lucas. You can fight it if you want, but after today, I don't think a judge will side with you. She doesn't argue, just nods. I take Lucas's hand and walk out of the fellowship hall. The news hits the local paper on Monday. Prominent businesswoman charged with embezzlement. By Tuesday, it's picked up by the regional news. By Wednesday, my phone won't stop ringing. Reporters, old clients, people from the church asking if I'm okay. I don't answer. I'm in my workshop, building. Lucas is with me. We're making a bookshelf for his room. Something simple. Pine boards, wood glue, finishing nails. He's learning to measure twice, cut once. Learning that mistakes are part of the process. Learning that sometimes you have to sand something down and start over. Dad, he says, holding a board steady while I drill pilot holes. Yeah? What's going to happen to Grandma? I don't know, bud. Probably jail. Maybe not if she makes a deal, but she won't be part of our lives anymore. Good. He says it firmly. She was mean to you. Yeah, she was. Is Uncle Will going to jail? Probably. Good. We work in silence for a while. Then Lucas says, What's a dynasty? I set down the drill. Where'd you hear that word? Grandma said it at dinner once. She said you were building her a dynasty. What does it mean? I pick up a piece of sandpaper, hand it to him. A dynasty is something that lasts, something that gets passed down. People usually mean money or power or a family name. Is that what you're building? I think about my father's letter, about the blueprint I found, about this moment, me and my 7-year-old son in a garage that smells like sawdust and wood glue, building a bookshelf that'll probably be crooked, but will hold his books just fine. No, I say, I'm building something better. What? I hand him a hammer. A dynasty is what we build together. You and me, not money, not power, just this, us, showing up, doing the work, being honest. He thinks about it. That sounds better. Yeah, it is. 3 months later, the legal dust settles. Eleanor takes a plea deal. 2 years probation, full restitution, permanent removal from Bennett & Sons board. William gets 18 months in a minimum security facility. Sarah and I finalize our divorce. I get full custody of Lucas. Emma visits every other weekend, and slowly, very slowly, she starts calling me Dad again, without the distance in her voice. I change the company name, not Bennett & Son, just Bennett Construction. Fresh start. And one Saturday morning, I'm in the workshop with Lucas when I remember my father's first letter, the one that started everything. I haven't looked at it in weeks. I pull it out of the drawer where I've been keeping it, smooth it flat on the workbench. What's that? Lucas asks. A letter your grandpa wrote me before he died. Can I see? I hand it to him. He can't read the cursive, so I read it aloud. The whole thing, every word. When I'm done, Lucas is quiet. Then he says, He sounds like he loved you a lot. Yeah, he did. Can we keep it? Yeah, bud, we can keep it. That afternoon, we go to a frame shop. I bring the letter and the blueprint of the community center I built 3 years ago. The one project my mother never touched. The one I did on my own time, donated labor to the town. It's my best work, 4,000 square feet, clean lines, built to last. The woman at the frame shop suggests a double frame, the letter on the left, the blueprint on the right, matted in gray. What's the occasion? She asks. My son asked me what a dynasty is. I say, I'm showing him. She smiles. That'll be ready in a week. A week later, the frame arrives. It's perfect. My father's letter, his handwriting preserved behind glass. Next to it, the community center blueprint, every line drawn with precision and care. Lucas and I hang it in the workshop right above the workbench. We step back and look at it. Is that the dynasty? Lucas asks. Yeah, that's it. It looks good, Dad. This is the end of James's story, but maybe it's the start of yours. If you've ever had to redefine what family means, share your story. The comments are yours now. That night, I get a text from Emma. She's 12 now, growing up fast. The text says, Can you teach me how to build something? Like you're teaching Lucas? I text back, yeah, sweetheart. Anytime. She responds, tomorrow? Tomorrow, I write. Sunday morning, Emma shows up at 9:00 a.m. with her backpack and a notebook. I want to learn to use the tools, she says. Mom says it's dangerous, but I told her you'd be careful. I'll be careful, I promise. We spend the morning building a birdhouse. She measures. I cut. She sands. I assemble. We work side by side, and she asks me questions about my father, what he was like, what he built, why he hid the letters. He wanted you to know the truth, I say, even if he couldn't tell you himself. Do you think he'd be proud of you? I look at the framed letter on the wall. I'm proud of you, James. I always was. Yeah, I say, I think he would be. We finish the birdhouse by noon. It's lopsided, Emma's first project after all, but it's sturdy. When we hang it in the backyard, she stands next to me, sawdust on her shirt, a small smile on her face. Can I come back next week? She asks. You can come back anytime. Lucas walks outside, sees the birdhouse, and grins. That's awesome, Emma. She beams. I made it with Dad. And there it is. That word, Dad. No distance, no hesitation, just Dad. Later, after Emma goes home, Lucas and I are cleaning up the workshop. He's sweeping sawdust into a pile, humming to himself. I'm putting tools back on the pegboard, everything in its place, the way my father taught me. Dad? Lucas says. Yeah? I'm glad you're my dad. I stop, turn to look at him. He's 7 years old, holding a broom that's too big for him, his face serious. I'm glad I'm your dad too, bud. Even though everything was hard, with Grandma and Uncle Will and Mom, especially because of that. I walk over, kneel down so we're eye level. You know what I learned? Blood doesn't build dynasties, hands do, showing up does. You showed up for me when I needed it. That's what matters. He thinks about it. Then he sets down the broom and hugs me. 7 years old, small arms around my neck, and I think, this is it. This is the kingdom, not the buildings, not the money, not the empire my mother wanted. This, a kid who shows up, who holds the nails steady, who asks what a dynasty is and then helps you build it. I hug him back, hold him tight, and I whisper what my father wrote to me. The kingdom was never hers to give. We built it ourselves. Lucas pulls back, looks at me with my father's eyes, steady, honest, good. Yeah, he says, we did.